This is a detailed walkthrough of the Goosky E2, the UH-1Y Venom Super Huey with long-time experiences.
The Goosky E2 is the 1:35 scale model of the famous Super Huey helicopter. The history of this helicopter family is long, dating back to the 1950s when the development started. The first, obviously not this one, Huey was flown in 1956, the year of the Suez Crisis. Rosa Parks rode a Montgomery bus at the front. Norma Jane Mortensen officially became Marilyn Monroe. The Hungarian anti-socialist revolution broke out. The ICAO have officially finalized the radiophonetic alphabet. The U-2 was flown over the Soviet Union for the first time. And the Ferry Delta II exceeded the 1,000 miles per hour in level flight, breaking the previous world record. So quite some time ago now. The first version of this helicopter had a 2-blade rotor head, a 2-blade tail rotor, and a good old flybar with a single engine. The original signature was HU1, and this got changed later to UH1. The Huey is famously known from many combat zones: the Falklands War in 1982, the US invasion of Grenada in 1983, the US invasion of Panama in 1989, and the Gulf War in 1991, DEA operations in Latin America, and of course,
Good morning, Vietnam!
fast forward with many years and 3 variants, 2008 to 2009, when the first new and not built from previous helicopters, Venom Super Huey helicopters entered service in the US Marine Corps. Bigger, brighter, faster models with 2 engines and 4-blade rotor heads and 4-blade tail rotors, and there is no flybar since 1979. Side note, the AH-1 Cobra, then later the Super Cobra helicopters are close siblings of these Hueys. Many parts are actually uncommon. They were developed and manufactured side by side, a little bit like the S2 and E2 from Goosky, just at a bigger scale. The Huey series is one of the most produced helicopters. Around 16,000 have been produced so far. Only one other helicopter numbers this in production, the well-known Soviet-Russian Mil-Me-8.
Awesome.
And its variants with almost 18,000 units. Although they are not the same league by any means. History lesson is over. Now zoom into this model. Not this much though.
This is the Goosky E2, the 1:35 scale version of the Super Huey. Goosky chose this chopper probably because of the story we just told you, the popularity and the fan base of this helicopter, which is actually huge. This is a scale model indeed, but she is not a fine scale helicopter for sure. If you don't know the difference, this is a fine scale model built by the Brits, and this is the budget version made by Americans. Different values, different price tags. Goosky guys made a really good job on the details, but it's hard to tell what was the original goal, to make a scale model with great performance capabilities or to make a performance model with scale, because there are compromises on both ends, even though the heli fulfills the requirements of both categories. Why? Let's return to this topic later. You see, there are no transparent windows, no interior, and still many details are well implemented, including some extra details like this, not this one. And there are things which are missing. Did you see that? Watch it again. Landing skids are a bit oversized, but this is okay. They must support the helicopter, even in a harder touchdown. Yes, the side doors can open and close. It's a bit stiff. I don't understand what was the purpose of this, unless the main reason was to have a fancy way to check the motor and the servos here. Opening this up to access the battery compartment is very simple, and surprisingly, this doesn't crack at all. Although this wall bends a little bit by the time, ruining the close loop. Don't look it too close. Also, there is a ton of holes here, even though only 4 screws secure the fuselage on the mainframe on either side. The rest keep the 2 sides together or hold on the tail. So when you want to take it apart, It takes quite some time. And when you think you removed all the screws, it still doesn't come off. A slight brute force is required to clip them apart. Surprisingly again, it doesn't break, just it's frightening. Don't break, don't break, don't break. Good. It's been said many details are included, but not all of them. However, if you want to customize the helicopter further, there are plenty of options. I guess the plastic is the same as the material of any scale static models. So all those tools and techniques can be used. Even this glue works pretty well. Goosky paid attention to details which are not followed by many even bigger scale models. In fact, Western helicopters are typically counterclockwise rotating. Russian helicopter rotors rotate clockwise, as do most of the RC models. This model follows the full-scale sister, rotor spins counterclockwise, tail rotor is on the left side, how it should be. And this can be bad for you if you are an experienced RC helicopter pilot.
Let's fly! Utálom, hogy erre kell korrigálni. Nagyon There's basically an S2 inside. It's not quite clear whether this model is a performance helicopter with a scale look or the opposite, a scale model with performance helicopter capabilities, because it's somewhere in the middle. She's not a fine scale to reduce the total weight and provide sturdiness, and she's not a full performance model because she's too heavy for that. Also, the CG is pretty far from the rotor disc. But yes, she can fly upside down.
So yes, the answer is the helicopter can fly upside down. Pretty stable. Yeah, so this is what you never see from a real Huey, but this is absolutely good. And to be honest, the helicopter is pretty stable and much more reactive than I expected.
With full throttle, she can even fly TikToks. So yes, I can't decide. I'm really curious what you guys think about this. The scale ratio is funny because it makes the helicopter somewhat compatible with the Lego scale.
And I love how much she can blend into my scale collection. That's just a static scale model.
It's really fun to fly, although definitely not for everyone.
So the first and most important thing, this heli is counterclockwise rotating. So everything you learned about stick movements, compensation and everything is in the wind. Because all the forces will occur on the other side, but the helicopter itself is pretty stable, as you see. The only problem with it, and this is a fact, it's really sensitive to the wind, much more sensitive than, let's say, an S2 or an S1, yeah, and this must be considered. The other thing, let me show you, because the helicopter itself is heavy, almost twice as heavy as an S2, everything must be taken in account, like the slowing down. It's going to slow down slower than let's say an S2 or an S1 as a feeling. But this is a scale helicopter, so fly it like a scale helicopter. Now I'm flying with this inbuilt stabilizer, so that's why it looks like a bit dodgy. But if I switch the stabilizer off, the helicopter starts flying like a proper scale model. Beautiful, nice turns, lovely feeling. It's a fantastic, relaxing helicopter. Yeah, but the stabilizer is always there for you if you want. So there is no panic if you have something what's weird. But in general, the helicopter feels really smooth, really stable, as long as there is no strong wind. That's right. Because of the 4 blades, all the stick movements are really direct. Somewhere, what's the best way to describe it? I don't know exactly, but it reacts immediately. It's really direct, really nice, really stable. Landing wise, the only thing you have to be really careful, that's the deep grass. It's easy to break the small parts of the helicopter in the grass. The grass and the helicopter are not the best friends.
I've turned it on, it works. Ah, oh, that's weird. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I really don't. Oh, yeah, that's scary. Yeah, okay, so this is why I don't fly it, because it's terrifying. I know it's meant to be an army helicopter, but it's still terrifying. It's a scale model, and everything I've ever learnt about how to fly helis is reversed. It's not that it's a bad heli, because it is really smooth to fly. It's just that I am terrified.
And let's not forget that we already flew roughly 7 minutes with the battery, and the helicopter is still up, and the battery is still not undercharged.
And my hands are still cold, just thought I'd put
And
that
it's
out
cold,
there.
yeah. The weakest point in this chain right now is the temperature. Yay!
You saw nothing!
This wasn't a nice landing. Upside down flying? It looks scarier than it is, by the way.
I can't even fly right side up!
Zu Risiken und Nebenwirkungen lesen Sie die Packungsbeilage und fragen Sie Ihren Arzt oder Apotheker.
This is a Goosky model, which means there is a well-established dealership network all around the world, so I can buy spares almost anywhere. And the complete scale fuselage is not that pricey. Everything together is about 70 quid. Bits and bobs are sold separately for a couple of quid, if you break something off in the tall grass. The S2 inside is not exactly an S2, but many parts come from that model, so it is anticipated spares will be around for a while. The tail boom is a thick carbon frame, main frame is pretty rigid. Motors from the S2, the FBL software also is from the S2. Yes, the heli has a stabilizer unit built in. It is true there is no GPS, this is not a drone. This mode is for beginners, aka the fly like a drone mode, and this mode is for those who can call themselves RC heli pilots. When you fly the E2 with stabilizer mode, the flight does not look anything like a scale flight, much more like a drone flight. It can keep the heli leveled, can let you take a breath of fresh air in case of panic, but it's much harder to fly the helicopter with even the smallest amount of wind, as it will blow the heli off course. When the stabilizer is off, suddenly wind is not a problem anymore. By the way, crappy stabilizer flight is true for all stabilizers, simply because how stabilizers work in general, and it is not Goosky's fault. Is this model beginner-friendly? Yes, to a certain extent. She knows almost everything a beginner-friendly heli must know, but I don't recommend her or any other scale models as a very first heli. Scale helis are just not for that.
Let's be serious now. Officials made a decision and created an arbitrary separation between toys and everything else, which is 250 grams. Everything heavier than this limit counts as a drone, and as such requires various papers, permits, licenses and official documents. And this is true here, 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 here and here in the land of free and many other countries. This model weighs more than double. I need all of these to fly in the UK. And if I decided to leave the Mystic Albion for a couple of flights in Europe, well, I need these as well. I'm not saying this is too much, just my car, and I need fewer papers for a round trip there. Nothing illustrates more that how ridiculous this is. I guess buying a gun in the United States is not as complicated as flying this Super Huey there, indirectly confirming that the Goosky E2 is not a toy. Instead, she is more dangerous than a Glock. Of course, you can fly indoor, then you don't have to bother with all of these. Just you need a big living room or a sports hall. The other thing to talk about is the GPS and the stabilizer. These are good innovations. They can be very useful for the first steps. And we are living in a modern world. Decaf coffee, light fizzy drinks, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence instead of human brain, but still, flying with only these is like riding a bicycle on support wheels. I'm not judging. If you want to learn how to fly helis, simulator is your friend. And pick a cheap training helicopter, like this. Fly, crash, rebuild, repeat. Price? It depends where you are. I put some links in the description. They are not affiliated links, just to help you. Anyways, the price is not super cheap. That would be a sign not to buy the heli. Also not super expensive, an absolutely average price in this class. This box reads flight time is about 15 minutes once. Then the battery is dead permanently. If you don't understand why, learn more about the LiPo batteries. With full throttle, even with the factory default 1600 mAh battery, this is about 5 to 6 minutes with safety margin. With low RPM cruising, 10-11 minutes is absolutely okay and doable. And you can use the battery again. No telemetry data during the flight, be careful.
Maintenance is easy. As long as you don't crash, almost nothing will be required. If you crash, small parts, even smaller screws, that's what I imagine brain surgery to be like.
This carry box could be better. Tail blades don't fit, main blades don't fit, tail blades have to come off, at least 2 blades must go. And when you are at the field, make a prayer, or if you drop the nut in the grass, that's gone. Personally, I don't use this box unless we travel to somewhere. And when I do, I have a whole procedure how to deal with it. And this goes in. 1, 2. So this way, if I drop the screw by accident, it falls into the carry box. Yep. That's normal. Oops. Where is it? My back hurts already, and there is still one left. Okay. Again. Done. It took me roughly 15 minutes and costed me a back. It hurts so bad. The paintwork is very good, not so much on the blades. They can scratch. Then you have 2 options, like this, or this paint, or this, or this. This is the closest one. How do they get scratched? In the box, of course. I made a mistake, don't do the same. Keep the plastic backs of the blades as carrier bags. The mix of these 3 colors gives a pretty close result. I'm not saying it's perfect, but much nicer than the black scratches.
There are 2 typically asked questions. Number 1, where's the bind button? It's somewhere here. Very tiny, but it is there. The other one, what transmitter can I use? Well, the heli is available in a bundle with the Goosky transmitter. That's not a big deal, but it's still more than nothing. Or any FHSS heli transmitter is compatible, like Futaba or Radiomaster. Also, there are 2 extra connectors, one is for the S-bus receivers and the other one is for Spectrum satellite receivers. Binding the Spectrum is not too simple, but there is a way to do it. The S-bus is straightforward.
By the way, these connectors can snap off. They are only soldered on the panel. Who needs this heli? Me. And people like me. Because not everyone can be this guy or this guy. I love helis, I love the scale helis. Just neither my budget nor my time let me build a big fine scale one. This heli is as is out of the box. Assembled, ready to fly nice scale model, I can show off. Because average people are not interested in these models. She is an amazing chill helicopter, even for less experienced pilots. And if you want to customize the E2 further, there are many ways to do so, depending on your spare time and imagination. If you want to crack on this scale modeling without investing a fortune and still you want a reliable pro model, the Goosky E2 Bell UHY-1 Venom Super Huey is your option. This heli is already customized a bit. She has a fully remote controlled customizable scale lighting system built in. If you want to know more, I'm planning to present the light ray agency system in one of the future videos.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We really do hope that you enjoyed, and we hope to see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Bye!
Levente, thanks for your video. Köszi a videódat.